I'm not convinced that's true. I think that unless you are a true Super Bowl contender, you're just as close to not making the playoffs as you are to being in them. And so while I understand the Seahawks plan, and I'm not necessarily here to criticize it, I'm going to disagree with you guys. I'm sorry. Opportunities to win the Super Bowl, it's why we're here. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. That's why you play the game, man. Championships, rings, parades, all the fun that comes with being in that game and then having an opportunity to win it. Oh, it's cool. We had another exciting season. You could take your exciting seasons and stuff them. I want Super Bowls, for God's sakes. I want to live in Titletown. I want to hang banners. I want guys in the Ring of Honor. And the fact that you guys are thinking small time says more about you than... No, I'm just kidding. I think that there's I'm just joking. I think there's a lot of merit to what you guys are saying. This is not I'm right, you're wrong kind of situation, but because I think that's kind of lame. Both of these approaches are right. There is legitimate merit to both. But I'm sorry, man. When you got the opportunity to go for it, it doesn't mean you can do it every year. Who's going to win a Super Bowl first? Who's closer to winning a Super Bowl right now? The Rams or the Seahawks?
Seahawks.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. Both teams are exactly at the same level. I think both teams are equally as close to winning a Super Bowl. Seahawks are a better team. They will almost undoubtedly win more games this year. They may very well be a playoff team again this year. I would be willing to tell you that they are roughly, now it depends with the number 5 pick. There's some other reasons. Maybe because of that pick, they're slightly ahead. But I don't think that either team is much closer to the other to winning a Super Bowl. They both have good coaches. They both have good GMs, and neither of them has a Super Bowl roster. Sorry. I like the Seahawks. I like what they're doing. This year's going to be fun. I expect them to make the playoffs. I don't expect them to win the Super Bowl this year, and neither do you.
Well, it made sense last year to be a little more modest, right? Like, they can say they love Geno Smith all they wanted, but I don't think they thought things were going to turn out the way they did. You made this big trade getting rid of Russ. Like, be a little more modest. You're not doing a full rebuild. You want to be competitive, but see how it goes. This year, seeing what they had and seeing all the draft capital that they have, it makes more sense to spend a little more money and go more all in, right?
I 100% think you need to be all in if you're going to try to win, but you got to wait for the right moment. The LA struck when the iron was hot. Give them credit. They didn't just do it willy-nilly. They waited until they were good, and then they used their additional resources to get better. They added Von Miller. They added OBJ. They spent resources on the pieces they needed to make themselves even better, and it worked. They went to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them. And I don't know what would have happened this past year if guys hadn't all gotten hurt, but they had an epic rash of injuries. So I'm sorry, man. 866-979-3776. I'll open this up on the phone lines. 866-979-3776. I think both teams are equally the same distance away from winning a Super Bowl. And because of that, I think there's a lot of merit to what the Rams are doing and the way they've handled their business.
Text from the 425 says, how has the Prudent model helped the Seahawks? They haven't had a realistic chance at the Super Bowl since 2015. Couldn't care less about one and done in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that, right, Brock? I mean, it's easy to say, oh, I could care less. And then the moment that's taken away from you, you're like, geez, I kind of miss those good teams, right? I mean, you don't want to become the Browns. You don't want to become
it was just a couple years ago. They won 12 games. They won the NFC West.
But they weren't a Super Bowl contender.
They played terribly at home against the Rams.
They weren't a Super Bowl contender.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Aren't you?
No. I think
I disagree with you, man.
Well, I think when you host you win your division, you host a playoff game, you put yourself in a position to be, 60 minutes away here or there.
For most of that season, they had a historically bad defense. Historically bad. One of the worst we've ever seen in our time watching the NFL.
Yep.
That's a team that made the playoffs. You're right. They went 12-4. Historically bad defense. They were going to win the Super Bowl. Come on, man. 866